the world didn't expect it. For more than a decade, global diplomats debated, regional powers threatened, and technical experts doubted. Yet in July 2025, Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed announced what many thought impossible. Ethiopia's Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam, or GERD, Africa's largest hydropower project, was complete. It wasn't just a dam, it was a declaration. A nation that once struggled with chronic power outages had just built a structure capable of doubling its energy output and reshaping East Africa's economy. And Ethiopia did it without Western funding, rejecting the usual strings that come with aid packages. But behind the celebrations, Nile politics are boiling. Egypt and Sudan fear the dam will choke their lifeblood, the Nile's downstream flow. Western powers, long accustomed to holding leverage through financial aid and water treaties, are watching a new African model emerge. One built on self-financing, regional integration, and defiance of external pressure. So what really happened? How did Ethiopia pull off a project that is shaking the foundations of African geopolitics and rattling the West? In this video, let's find out. The Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam is more than a wall of concrete and spinning turbines. It is a vision of national ambition materialized in steel and stone. Rising 145 meters high and stretching 1.8 kilometers across the Blue Nile, GERD is one of the largest hydropower projects in the world and by far the biggest in Africa. Behind its immense structure lies a reservoir capable of holding 74 billion cubic meters of water, a volume equal to about 30 million Olympic-sized swimming pools. The project redefines Ethiopia's relationship with its most powerful natural resource, converting the kinetic energy of the Blue Nile into a controlled and renewable source of power. When fully operational, GERD will produce over 5,000 megawatts of electricity, instantly doubling Ethiopia's national power generation capacity, which before GERD averaged around 4,500 megawatts. For a country where nearly half the population lacked reliable electricity access before this project, GERD represents more than just infrastructure. It means liberation from energy poverty. Households that once relied on kerosene lamps or diesel generators will gain access to steady electricity, empowering schools to run digital learning tools, clinics to refrigerate medicines, and industries to operate at full capacity. And interestingly, what sets GERD apart from most megaprojects across Africa is how it was financed. When construction began in 2011, Ethiopia deliberately avoided the traditional model of seeking funding from international financial institutions like the IMF or World Bank, which often attach strict political and economic conditions to loans. Instead, Ethiopia chose self-reliance as a guiding principle. Funding was sourced from domestic bonds, salary contributions from public employees, donations from the Ethiopian diaspora, and direct government expenditure. Ethiopians of all walks of life, farmers, business owners, professionals, contributed money, sometimes sacrificing part of their earnings to help realize what they considered a national dream project. This independence meant that no external power could dictate operational terms or delay the project due to political disputes. GERD became not only an engineering marvel, but also a symbol of Ethiopian pride and African self-determination, proof that a developing nation could finance and deliver a world-class infrastructure project on its own. However, constructing GERD required engineering solutions rarely attempted on the African continent. The project involved diverting part of the Blue Nile's flow, a challenging task given its heavy seasonal flooding, while maintaining downstream flows to avoid harming agriculture in Sudan and Egypt. The dam houses 8 massive hydroelectric turbines, each capable of producing hundreds of megawatts. These turbines had to be manufactured abroad, transported across challenging terrain, and installed with millimeter-level precision. Their synchronization with Ethiopia's national grid required advanced digital monitoring and control systems, ensuring stable electricity generation, even during seasonal variations in river flow. The workforce behind GERD included tens of thousands of engineers, geologists, electricians, welders and laborers, many of whom were trained specifically for this project. International specialists provided technical expertise, but most of the physical construction was executed by Ethiopian teams, building local skills that will serve future infrastructure projects. Advanced engineering practices were adopted, such as roller-compacted concrete technology for the main dam wall and state-of-the-art spillway systems to manage excess floodwaters safely. Further, GERD's design intentionally includes surplus capacity, enabling Ethiopia not only to achieve energy self-sufficiency, but also to export electricity to its neighbors. Power purchase agreements are already in discussion with Sudan, Djibouti, and Kenya, with future potential to supply even Egypt, a country that has historically opposed the project. You see, by creating a regional power corridor, GERD will integrate Ethiopia into the Eastern Africa power pool, enabling cross-border power flows that stabilize electricity supply for multiple countries. This network can attract foreign investment in energy-intensive industries, from manufacturing and mining to data centers and electric mobility. GERD thus positions Ethiopia as an energy hub of East Africa, shifting the region's economic landscape and granting Addis Ababa a level of geopolitical influence previously unimaginable. Yet GERD's impact is not confined to Ethiopia. It runs along the lifeblood of an entire region. The Nile River sustains Egypt, providing 97% of its water needs, and supports Sudan's agriculture and drinking water supply. For Cairo and Khartoum, GERD's completion represents an unpredictable variable. How will water flows change, and who controls them? Egyptian President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi and Sudanese leader Abdel Fattah al-Burhan have repeatedly condemned what they call unilateral measures, warning that Ethiopia's moves risk upsetting a delicate water balance. Western governments, often aligned with Egypt due to strategic and historical ties, have echoed those concerns, portraying GERD as a potential destabilizer for North Africa and the Middle East. However, Ethiopia dismisses those fears, saying they are spread by the West to sabotage the project. And it's true because NATO itself wrote a report warning about the impacts of GERD on Egypt and Sudan. Therefore, Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed insists GERD is not a threat, but a shared opportunity, and has pledged that water releases will not harm downstream nations. Before we continue further, tell us, are you enjoying the video? If yes, please like and share the video, and subscribe to our channel to watch more videos on Black Africa. Let's continue now. Ethiopia argues GERD's regulated flow will minimize destructive floods, reduce evaporation losses, and even stabilize downstream water supplies during drought years. Despite these assurances, negotiations among Ethiopia, Egypt, and Sudan have repeatedly stalled. Egypt demands a legally binding water release schedule to guarantee its supply. Ethiopia refuses, seeing such restrictions as an infringement on its sovereignty. This stalemate has shifted the balance of power on the Nile for the first time in history, as upstream Ethiopia now wields unprecedented influence over downstream Egypt and Sudan. While GERD is celebrated as an engineering marvel, its true power lies in economics. Abundant and affordable electricity is the foundation of industrial growth, and GERD offers Ethiopia exactly that. Analysts project the dam could inject over $1 billion annually into Ethiopia's economy by powering industrial parks, manufacturing hubs, agro-processing plants, and digital infrastructure. The surplus electricity will also power Ethiopia's vision of becoming a regional energy exporter. Negotiations with Sudan, Djibouti, and Kenya for long-term power purchase agreements are already underway. In the long term, Ethiopia aims to integrate its grid with the Eastern Africa power pool, creating a carbon-free energy corridor capable of stabilizing regional power supplies and reducing the frequency of blackouts that hinder economic growth. This transformation extends beyond macroeconomics. At the grassroots level, over 1 million households are expected to gain electricity through new grid extensions and solar hybrid systems linked to GERD. Rural clinics will be able to refrigerate vaccines, schools can run computer labs, and small businesses can operate well into the night. GERD is therefore more than an energy project. It is a platform for social and economic modernization. However, mega projects often displace communities, and GERD was no exception. Around 20,000 people had to be relocated to make way for its reservoir. Resettlements in Africa frequently trigger social unrest, but Ethiopia adopted a more participatory model, providing upgraded housing, sanitation, schools, clinics, vocational training, and startup grants for small businesses. Women-led cooperatives have emerged in these resettled communities, producing goods for local markets and contributing to household incomes. Improved water infrastructure has led to a 40% decline in waterborne diseases. While there have been reported delays in irrigation projects and some complaints from relocated farmers, Ethiopia established grievance committees and enlisted third-party auditors to address issues transparently. Therefore, development experts have recognized this approach as a potential model for how large infrastructure projects can support rather than marginalize affected populations. Further, GERD's environmental implications are complex. Altering river flow affects aquatic ecosystems, sediment transport, and downstream agriculture. To mitigate these risks, GERD is equipped with sediment flushing systems, fish passages, and reforestation programs around its reservoir. The dam also offers climate resilience benefits. By controlling seasonal flooding and maintaining more stable water releases, GERD can reduce damage from climate extremes and provide downstream nations with more reliable water supplies during drought years. This dual nature, environmental challenge and climate opportunity, illustrates why GERD is both controversial and potentially transformative. However, a question arises here. Why is the West rattled? Well, that's because GERD represents more than water and electricity. It represents a shift in development power. For decades, African infrastructure was shaped by external lenders and policy frameworks written in Washington, Brussels, or Beijing. GERD broke that pattern. It was planned, funded, and built by Ethiopians for Ethiopians without surrendering control. This sends a powerful signal that African nations can finance and execute projects at scale without external oversight. In an era where geopolitical competition is intensifying, this example of self-reliance challenges the West's traditional influence and could inspire other African countries to pursue similar paths. With its completion, GERD does more than generate electricity. It generates new narratives about sovereignty, development, and Africa's future. Egypt and Sudan remain wary, negotiations remain unresolved, and environmental concerns persist. Yet for Ethiopia, the dam represents a bold leap toward energy independence, industrial transformation, and regional leadership. And the West isn't rattled simply because a dam was built. It's rattled because it was built without them. GERD challenges long-standing assumptions about African dependency and signals a future where African nations chart their own course. The upcoming inauguration will be more than a ribbon-cutting ceremony. It will mark the moment when a river of history converges with a tide of change, setting the stage for a new chapter in Africa's development story. What do you think? Is Ethiopia's self-funded megadam proof that Africa can build its future without Western money and conditions? Will GERD trigger a new era of cooperation on the Nile, or spark deeper conflicts with Egypt and Sudan? In the comment section below, share your thoughts on whether the West will try to sabotage the project because it bypasses traditional funding systems. Do you want to watch more videos like this one? If yes, subscribe to our channel and press the bell icon next to it. We bring videos on Black Africa, its history, rich arts and culture, and things the world should know about. Thanks for watching, and until the next video, stay tuned.